Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another preview Q&A show here on All for United. I am your host, Temi, aka Temi Talks United. Everyone make sure to go to youtube.com/All for United. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and make sure to stay tuned to the end of the show because at the end of the show, I'll be asking a question. Whoever answers that question correctly gets a chance to get entered into a competition to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. YouTube.com/All for United. I'm so excited for this show today. After a very disappointing result, I have some great Reds with me. I have Gary with me. I have my guy Hama with me. And I have my guy Stu with me. We're going to break down all the things. The previous game, what we should expect leading up into this game, and then the Q&A portion of the show. So everyone who's watching right now, make sure to drop a question underneath in the comments right now. Drop a question in the comments right now, and we're going to try our best to answer as many as possible at the end of the show. It's going to be a good time. I talked a lot. That was a lot to digest. But anyway, I'm going to start with Stu. Really quickly. I really want to get your perspective on the West Brom game and how I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think this is going to be a knock-on effect leading into the Real Sociedad game? Big Europa League tie. Obviously, we want to be in the Champions League. That's where United should be at all times. We're not there. Whatever. We bottled it. But what do you think that West Brom game is going to do to affect the boys going forward into this game?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, really. I said on Wall of Reds last night that I thought Ollie got it wrong. I said that it's like entering Jurassic Park, to be honest, when you went into the Albion through the Albion gates last night, because quite frankly, Allardyce plays 80s football. It was always going to be lob it into the box. They know straight away De Gea won't come and collect, and so it proved, and they kind of bullied us a little bit. I've seen a little bit of Sociedad's this season. They are quite a flowing side. They play a very strange formation, which we'll go into in the second part. But it is quite a good game, actually, for us to kind of bounce back. We've got a really tough run of fixtures because after Sociedad, we've got Newcastle, Chelsea and City. And so we've really got to kind of forget what happened yesterday, get the lads' head on, and Ollie's got to go to Turin with a bit of a buzz about him. And we've got to have a buzz. We've got to take the field with a buzz. Look, you're not going to win every game of football. It just isn't possible. But it's what you do the next game defines you as a player. And I always think if we ever lost the game and I was playing, you go home, you shake it off, you look at it, what have I done wrong? Go to training the next day and you grit your teeth and you get on with it. So, look, I think we'll beat Sociedad, actually. I think we'll get a 1-0 win. But they are dangerous. So, it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see. Let's get in the comments real quick. Shocking against West Brom, not filled with joy against Newcastle, Chelsea, and City. Need to kick on against Newcastle, 100%. Evening, I rewatched the game yesterday and still can't believe how weak the Centerbacks were against their striker. I've never seen anything like it before at United. Yeah, it's really disappointing. We're going to get on that topic really quickly. The Centerbacks, it's a big talking point within the United fan base right now. There's obviously a problem with that partnership, Maguire and Lindelof. I think both of them are good center backs. I've been harsh on Maguire in the past, very harsh. I still think I'll keep on saying this. I don't think any of our center backs can be the best center back on a title winning side. Not Eric Bailly, not Harry Maguire, not Victor Lindelof. None of them. We need to get another center back. But while we are here, while they're here, we need to still focus on what's ahead of us, which is the Europa League. I'm going to go to Gary. What do you think Ollie needs to do? Do you want to see him put Eric Bailly back in the side? Do you think he should put Tuanzebe in the side? Do you think both center backs should be dropped? I mean, he's never going to drop his captain, obviously. But what are you feeling there, Gary?
Yeah, he's definitely not going to drop both centre backs. As I think I've already said this in the past, with De Gea not playing, wasn't going to be picked yesterday. It would have sent out the wrong signals to the Premier League and social media and the whole whole world, really. I think he'll play Spy tomorrow with Maguire. Maguire's always going to play because he's captain, unfortunately. That's the way it is. I think he done okay in parts on Sunday, to be fair. Lindelof, for me, he just wasn't strong enough. I mean, people were saying it was a foul. It probably was, but you got to be tough being a centre back, and he just wasn't strong enough for me yesterday. But I just think we just got caught napping after, what was it, 87, 90 seconds they scored. We just got caught napping at the back, and it was just ridiculous. We cannot afford to do that on Thursday. You know, they get quick early going and they sit back, which is what Sam Allardyce's team did. They just sat back and hoof it style football. They had a few little chances here and there, but as Stu said, it's 80s style football. You know, he's still stuck in the 80s.
To your point, I mean, that's a great, but I completely agree with everything you just said. Lindelof was extreme, and I'm a big fan of Lindelof. Everyone knows that. I still think he's our best center back at the club, but so weak on that Diagne goal. Maguire got out of jail by De Gea double save later on in the match, and I think it's fair to say that, you know, a point was deserved. But I know we're stuck on the Premier League. I want us to get into the Europa League a little more. Let's talk about that. You know what I'm saying? I think we've done, I don't want to jinx us, but I truly believe we've done enough to secure top 4. I could be wrong about that. Chelsea's looking a bit stronger now that they have Tuchel in there. Liverpool can always come back and, you know, make a run. But I think we've done enough to secure top 4. Now the focus is that trophy. That trophy is so important for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I don't think at the end of the season, if he just has, let's say he gets 3rd and no trophy, there's going to be a big group of people, probably including me, who says we're not making any progress. And it could be a fair argument to make. Hama, what do you think about, how important do you think this Europa League tie is for us? And do you think this is almost a must-win competition for Ole?
Well, I think a trophy is must win for Ole, right? So yes, if we're going to say that we're not, you know, if we're just going for top 4 and we're not going to keep trying to go for a league or anything, or it's not possible, then yeah, this is the next biggest one, or the FA and things like that, right? It's important, one, because he needs to get a trophy, right? I saw somebody comment earlier on Twitter that the last 2 managers at least got a trophy, right? So he needs to get a trophy, I think, to not allow what you just said to happen, but also to see what, like, one of the things that's being questioned about this team right now is the mentality and, like, seeing what they're made of. Finishing off a tournament and lifting a trophy will say big things about what they're made of. So yeah, it's important both for Ole's sake in terms of his job, but also to see what this team is actually made of.
Yeah, no, great points. Let's get in the comments real quick. Everyone who's in the comments, I think I forgot to mention this at the beginning. I want 25 likes on this video. 25 likes on this video. I'm going to ask a question if we get to 25 likes at the end of the show. And whoever, the first 5 people to answer that question, not whoever, the first 5 people to answer that question, you're going to get your name entered into a hat to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. Your name can be in there more than once. It's a numbers thing. You feel me? So if you're you can be number 25, you can be number 35, you can be as many numbers as you want, as long as you answer these questions correctly. Also, make sure to drop some questions in the comments right now. Drop some questions. Anything Manchester United related. The Q&A section for the last 2 episodes has been absolutely unreal. We want to keep it up at the end of the show. But Hama, yes, I agree with your points. The Europa League is really important. A trophy is really important for Ole. And let's talk about this matchup specifically. Real Sociedad, very interesting side. They were flying early on in the season. I think they were first place for quite a while. Obviously, Atletico's at the top of the league right now. But obviously, they're not a team that we should take lightly. And I think a lot of us who are obviously Premier League fans, you know, we watch the Premier League more than any other league. We sometimes underestimate the football that's played in other countries. You know, people like to call certain leagues farmers leagues, you know, don't put the same amount of level of respect as they should on it. Stu, I'm going to ask you, let's talk about real. I mean, if you've seen them this season, what do they pose a real threat for us?
Yeah, they do. They play a very rigid system, and it's actually a 4-1-4-1. They've got Mendy, I believe, is their holding player, their midfielder. But where they are strong is the four just behind their central striker, which is Isaac. They've got a left winger. How you pronounce it, I don't know, but I saw something like Oyazabal or something along those lines. Anyway, he's their top scorer. Yeah, that's him. He's their top scorer. He's got 10. Very, very left-footed. But he's also quite high on the assists as well, along with Marino alongside him. They've got David Silva, still wizardry, even at his tender age of 34, 35, whatever he is now. And we've got, of course, the grown-up Januzaj playing on the right side for them. So they're quite fluid in attack. But what you'll tend to find is their kind of front four, so to speak. That's Januzaj, Marino, Oyazabal, and Silva. They'll go back as a unit and attack as a unit. So they'll defend as a unit and attack as a unit. So what that makes them is quite fluid. So they're quite quick on the attack. They're not blistering in terms of pace. But when you've got Oyazabal, Mourinho, who've got 10 assists between them. Oyarzabel's their top scorer on 10. You've got Isaac, he's got 8 or 9 goals. They're sitting fifth in the La Liga at the minute. Januzaj's chipped in with a couple. The big surprise for me is Silva. I think he's sitting on about 1 assist. That's all this year, and that's what he does. So if we underestimate them, we're going to have problems. Yeah. And I did say last night on Wall of Reds again that Ollie has a tendency of whatever system he wants to set us up at, he will play that. And Gary will know, because me and Gary are relatively similar in age, I would say. We were brought up on the 4-4-2 system. I suppose that's what I'm getting at, Gary. We were brought up on the 4-4-2 system. And there's times in games where you should set up in a 4-4-2 for the first 10 or 15 minutes of any game of football. Just feel out your opposition. And then as the game evolves, that's when you start to run yourself into the game. And then you can start tinkering around with formations. Ollie didn't do that against West Brom, and that's why they attacked us down the wings. I think they'll attack us pretty much across the pitch, I do, Sociedad. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. But we're on neutral venue. Yeah. For the first time, we're playing a home or an away game on a neutral venue in the Europa League. And I think that could do us a bit of a favour. We played at Turin before. I don't know how many of their players would have played at the Old Ladies Stadium. I don't think it's called the Old Ladies Stadium anymore, but it'd be quite interesting. So that's my take on it.
No, thank you for that breakdown. Amazing breakdown. I think I haven't watched enough of Real Sociedad this year. I know the type of football they like to play. Like you mentioned, I think in my opinion, that might play to our advantage. If when people try to play football against us, we do pretty good. We do pretty damn good. If anyone tries to take the game to us, they want to play intricate passes. Where we struggle again is the 80s style football, like you mentioned with Sam Allardyce, lump it up the field. Strength, power, aggression, that type of football, makes us struggle. I saw in the comments here that, Oyarzabal is injured, which is a big plus.
Well, that's a massive bonus that is for us.
Yeah, he's injured. Yeah, he is a very good player. Everyone, make sure to drop some questions. I only see one question right now. I only see one question regarding Manchester United. Everyone, I want at least 5 questions in the comments. We have over 20 people watching right now. I want 5 of you to drop a question. Anything Manchester United related. It could be about transfers. It could be about this game. It could be about the season as a whole. Very interesting stuff. I saw some great commentary about the top 4. Stuart says top 4 is definitely not a certainty. Where a couple bad results from slipping out Europa League may be needed to secure Champions League. Wow. Very, very interesting take there. Fred Woodward says, I don't think top 4 is nailed on yet. Another interesting point. I want to talk about offensively yesterday, what we're doing going forward. I'm going to get to Gary here. A lot of people are criticizing Lindelof and Maguire, as they should, for that performance against West Brom. But I think, and I don't think this is necessarily the players, but I just think tactically going forward, we were abject. Bruno scored a wonder goal, yes, but he was pretty poor that whole game. Anthony Martial, poor again. Rashford, relatively poor, flashed some good balls across the box against West Brom, but overall build up play poor. Kavax, it was poor. What do you think is missing there? I personally think it might be a coaching and tactical thing of how to break down these low blocks. What do you want to see from our forwards against Real Sociedad?
Bit more clinicalness, really. I think Cavani didn't have a great game yesterday either. I mean, he had a couple of chances. Everyone was saying you've got to get the ball into him, and there was a couple of times where he scuffed the shots. I think Luke Shaw's done very well with his crosses, and Cavani got on the end of a couple of them in the past. But I think we need to start with Rashford tomorrow. Greenwood on the right tomorrow, and probably Rashford on the left with Cavani up front. I don't think Martial should be starting tomorrow. I think if you start him on, obviously, if you do start playing on the left and you play Rashford on the right, but I think Greenwood made it. He needs more games, and he makes a difference playing on the right. I think he's a better player on the right than Rashford. But yeah, we just need to be more clinical. I don't know. It's just sometimes we're trying to walk it into the net, and I just think we just keep it simple, play it simple.
Yeah,
I like Stu's idea where we say we should be playing one behind the striker, playing Bruno behind the striker. That sort of thing. We don't do that. We just play the 4-3-3 all the time, and I think we should be playing it. Do something different tomorrow, Thursday.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out. One point, I think Ollie with Bruno, I think that's the real issue. When you play I agree. I think Ollie, when we set up with let's say Van de Beek, right? If Van de Beek is playing, it's a 4-4-2, or a 4-4-1-1, right? Because Van de Beek relatively stays deeper than Bruno would. Bruno likes to press. He'll get forward. It kind of, this is not blaming Bruno, but it just kind of, it brings a little bit less balance to the side defensively when Bruno's pushing forward and doing things like that. I agree with you guys 100%, though. I think especially defensively, we need to stay in that compact shape and then move forward with it. You see what I'm saying? Let's get in the comments real quick. Our attack is as concerning as a defense. I would agree with that. Rashford and Martial have been relatively poor all year. Still no specialist right winger and poor depth across the front line. And this is so fascinating to me. I think, in my opinion, a majority of Premier League teams would take our front four, or our four best attackers in a heartbeat. If you said you could have Martial, Cavani, Rashford, Greenwood, I think most teams would take that, outside of maybe City and Liverpool. You know what I'm saying? And it just seems like there's something. That's why I said I think it might be a attack. I think Ollie knows how to set up a team really strong, defensively. He can set up a team to be compact, hit a team on the break. But when it comes to that intricate passing, the patterns of play, none of our goals look the same. It's always a bit of brilliance that kind of gets us out of jail more often than not. Hama, what do you think about that? I want to continue this conversation. Do you think it's the players are out of form, or do you think it's more of a deeper issue?
Well, I mean, Martial is definitely out of form. Rashford is, I don't know if it's necessarily out of form. I don't know what's going on in his decision making, but somebody needs to he needs to watch some film a little more if he doesn't, because that shit, some of the decisions that he makes are mind blowing. But anyways, I think it's a little bit of form, but I think it is a little bit of coaching as well. So some of both, because for example, I think you said Rashford got some good crosses in, and then when Mason came on the right side, he got some good crosses in, and they all made it all the way through to the back post, but there was nobody at the back post. And I didn't understand how that's 4 or 5 chances. And I think Rashford had 2, Mason had 2. I don't know if there might have been somebody else who was getting those type of crosses in, but there was nobody running to the back post. And I don't know what type of runs they were making or what type of, the movement. Or I don't know what it was, but it's just they were making mental mistakes, and it's the same thing that's going on on the defense, right? It's just making sure you're in the right position at the right time. I understand Cavani making his runs and everybody else making his runs, but whoever was on the left wing or whoever's coming in from the left side when those crosses are coming in, you can't also follow Cavani or make that type of run where you're too deep or too far up in the box, and then the backside of the box is nobody to get on a tap-in goal that would have won the game for us. And I think the way that, and honestly, if we're going to talk about the offense too, I really want to talk about Rashford and his decision-making. There were a lot of times, left or right, where he was trying to get through like 3-4 defenders. There was one where there was a wall of 3 defenders in front of him and Donnie behind him, where he could have just tapped it back to Donnie, who could have got a cross in, but he tried to beat them in the box and got crowded out. So I think that's one of the biggest things on Rashford's side, at least.
Yeah, no, great call out. Everyone, make sure to hit that like button. Drop some questions in the comments. Right now. I see some good questions. Jacob said, should we have kept Garner instead of shipping him back out on loan? We'll definitely answer that question. Let's see. I think I saw another one that was pretty good. What do you guys think about James, Cavani, Mason? We'll talk about that at the end of the show. I want some more questions. Stuart, if you're in here, Jacob, you're in here. Fred, you're in here. I want some questions, some regular contributors. Joining.
Do you mind if I just touch on what the guys were just saying about the front three?
Oh, go ahead.
Right, yeah.
Go ahead.
What I was going to say is, and I touched on it last night. Last year, our front three were scintillating. We were quick, sharp, attacking, aggressive. But you've got a lot of smart managers in the Premier League, and you've got a lot of smart coaches. You've got a lot of smart defenders, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work you out if you're not fluid or you don't mix it up now and again. And one of the things that we do with a low block team is we never allow them to attack us, which sounds ridiculous, I know, but you've got to draw them out so you can actually get in behind them. And we don't do that. What we do is just pass the ball side to side and allow them to sit back in 2 banks of 4. So there is occasions where you've got to draw the opposition out so you can find that space. And we don't do that. Now, whether that's a coaching issue or whether that's on-field management, I don't really know. But I always remember Louis van Gaal, when he was in charge, he found a little gap, didn't he, for Fellaini. I think it was on the right side. He found that pocket, didn't he, which nobody had seen. And for about 2 or 3 games, Fellaini was in that pocket by himself. And then suddenly, bang, it was switched on. And then it cuts that out. We don't seem to have that about us at the minute. We can't seem to, find a way of drawing the fullbacks onto us or drawing the midfield onto us so we can pass it in and around them. So that's an observation. That's really pretty much what Hammer was saying as well. So I've kind of piggybacked on you there, Hammer, to be fair. But he's right. So that is a problem.
Do you think it's a matter of certain players playing in positions that maybe don't suit? I'm talking about all across the pitch. So, for instance, Mason, he's probably a central forward. You know what I'm saying? He's probably a central striker, excuse me. But he's probably a little too young and essentially lightweight to play that position in the Premier League right now. We have Anthony Martial. He's probably best suited on the, through the middle, but he's playing on the left, and he's struggling. Marcus Rashford gets shifted out to the right sometimes. We've seen Paul Pogba when he's healthy playing on the right, playing on the left. It's an interesting thing. It's an interesting thing. Let's get in the comments real quick. How many likes are we on, people? Let me know how many likes we're on. I'm gonna go hit the like button right now. I want somebody to get a chance to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. You feel me? We're on only 10 likes, but that's fine. We still have a good time. We still have a good amount of time in this stream. Now we're at 11 likes. Let's get to 14 more likes. That's not too many. I think I counted that right. Yeah. 14 more likes. Let's see what questions they're saying. Do you think Ali isn't confident about this squad, or is he being cautious? Interesting question. I think I saw another good question. Where did I see that other question I liked? Should Diallo? Yeah, that one. Should Diallo get his chance in the Europa League? We'll definitely talk about that. I have strong opinions about that. Oh, Fred, we're on 15 likes. That's awesome. 15 likes. Let's get 10 more likes. I'm going to ask a question at the end of this stream for some of you to get a chance to be entered into a hat to win some great merchandise from Football Town Apparel. I keep on getting better at that. It's a work in progress. So it's a work in progress. I'm going to go to Gary. I'm going to come to you on this because I think we miss Paul Pogba. Last time we talked on a stream, you said, Bruno's going to provide that creativity. I think in that deeper part of midfield, there's a huge gap there. You know what I'm saying? There's a big problem with, McTominay and Fred being in there and not being able to pick those passes the way Paul would, and get our front players in better positions. What do you have to say about that, Gary?
Yeah, I must admit we've missed him in the last few games. I'll move you on that on Temi, to be honest. You've hit the nail on the head. The passes he does, he has made some clinical passes, but I've just seen him in some games where he's just looked lazy and he's not tracked back, and that's where I've been critical of him in the past. But I think we have missed him in certain key games, particularly yesterday where he would have thinked some passes, and obviously against what was the last game after that? The game before that. It was Everton, wasn't it? Because he came off against Everton, didn't he? But I will say in the Everton game I think that's when Fernandes came to life. Once he came off the pitch, Fernandes stepped up a gear for some reason. I don't know why. He seemed a bit limited when he was playing with him. But I know we've always said that, when Sanchez was there, that Pogba and Sanchez didn't really play well together. And we all thought the same was going to happen with Fernandes, but it hasn't been the case, is it? They've really played well together. They've gelled well together when they've both been in the team.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. I love your candid honesty there. I do think that's a huge point, right? Ollie does not want to play Donny van de Beek in that double pivot or the traditional midfield roles. And it's very obvious. I understand why Ollie doesn't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Donny doesn't have that aggression that you need to be playing in the middle of the park in big Premier League games. I do wonder though, in a game that's going to be probably, I don't want to say slower, but the aggression levels are going to be obviously different than it would be facing like West Brom. I promise you, they're more aggressive than this Real Sociedad team, and that's not a disrespect to them. It's just the way Premier League managers put out their teams. Stu, do you think that we could potentially see Donny van de Beek in the Europa League getting games deeper in midfield?
Well, yeah, I'm actually Gary's spot on, really, and you are, Temi, about missing Paul Pogba. But what I would say about Bruno is he does have the creativity. The problem when you're playing McFred is that A, they can't pick the passes, and B, they're so slow in getting the ball to Bruno. So what you tend to find is Bruno's having to drop deep into a position where he's not able to hurt the opposition. So, so I would actually, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, I would, providing Pogba's fit, I would play one holding player, whoever that may be. You can take your pick out, McTominay, Matic and Fred. And I would play Pogba, and I would play Donny in there, and then Bruno and Greenwood, and then Cavani. Because, as I said before, you've got to have fluidity. You've got to be able to evolve into a game. And Donny is the most intelligent footballer, believe it or not, we have on the pitch. I know people will say that's rubbish because we got Bruno, but Bruno does it in a different way. Donny gets the ball, he can turn, his head's on the swivel, even before the ball's at his foot.
Yep.
And if there's a player around him, he's off. He'll lay it off, and then he'll move into space. If Donny gets his chance on Thursday, you just look at the space he'll create, and sometimes just by standing still. But the problem is, we haven't got the players around him that can notice what he's doing because they're too busy looking left or looking right.
Yeah.
Or they're looking for Bruno maybe, or they're looking for Rashford or whoever, but they're not looking for Donny. No. And so. I agree with Gary, and I believe that there's a room in our side for all three of them. I really do believe there's room in the side for all three of them. And you've got to take some big decisions when you manage Manchester United or any football club. But Manchester United, you've got to take some big decisions. And if a player's going to go and cry about it, work harder. Work harder, get yourself back into the side. So Gary's right, but that's what I would do Thursday. Obviously, Pogba is Pogba going to be fit? Do we know?
I don't think so. No. I think they extended it.
Yeah,
they have they? Okay.
Go ahead, Stu.
Yeah, all I was going to say is I just hope we don't go with this McFred, this double pivot malarkey. I'd rather just come in with Matic as a single player, because if you're going to match them up, if they've got a holding player and we have a holding player, you're going to cancel each other out anyway, because you've got to try and nullify that middle four is your problem.
Yeah, I mean, this is such a. I feel like it's bad. I don't want to say it like this because I'm not trying to disrespect Ali at all. It just seems like the fan base sees this, but he's so persistent on this 4-4-1-1 or 4-2-3-1. For instance, against West Brom, right? We should have played with Matic, Donny, Bruno, right? As a flat 4-3-3.
Absolutely.
But I think he wants to perfect the system. I think he's a pragmatic manager. Contrary to popular belief, I think he wants to be more compact and than the average fan wants. You know what I'm saying? And that's not a bad thing. I don't think being compact is a bad thing. I don't think that having good team shape is a bad thing. I just think that in certain games, West Brom or against Real Sociedad, I don't think like you said, I don't think McFred is the answer. So I'm going to ask someone right now: is this a game for? I also don't want to see Matic and Fred. That's another one I do not want to see. This West Ham vibes again. How important do you think? I'm going to ask this question: do you think Ollie has been keeping Matic back for Europa League games because he kind of just fell out of the side out of nowhere? I don't think he really played bad, but he fell out of the side. Do you think Ollie's holding him back for Europa League games, and do you think he should be playing in these games?
Yeah. Okay. So I just want to comment on a couple of things real quick. One of the things Gary said. I think the reason Paul and Bruno play so well together is because honestly, I think world-class players recognize each other. If I'm going to make a statement, and I think when they're not on the field, each of them feels they have to do a little more, so they start doing some more. But when they're both on the field, they know, like what you said with Paul's passes, right? Bruno knows Paul's going to make those passes, so he doesn't have to keep coming back. He can be ready to do something when he's up top with the attack. And then as far as the question, I think Matic, that I wouldn't. I mean, I don't know if Ole actually did that, but if it works out that way, that'd look good for Ole. But yeah, I think he could be an important player. And going off what Stu said, I would like to see with Paul being injured, I think I'd like to see a midfield of. I know people aren't a fan of the diamonds or whatever you want to call it, but if you want to have Matic there, and then I would have Scott and Donny with Bruno, and Donny and Bruno are going to connect, and Scott's going to get that energy, and Matic is going to sit back and have that base covered. And then also I think Donny is going to be, and I said this, I don't know, last month or something, I said the Europa League is where we're going to start seeing something come out of Donny and start actually seeing what we've expected to come up from getting him from Ajax.
No, all fair points. Joe says, "How's your apartment smelling, Temi?" It smells awful, absolutely awful. You guys don't get that inside joke. Matic is getting on. He can't be relied on to play week in, week out. Not his fault. It's only natural. Matic had a great game against West Ham. Question mark. Am I the only one who saw that? I thought he had a decent game. I think to Joe's point, I want to touch on this. I think we as fans truly underrate, or not. I don't want to call it underrate, but we overemphasize on this age thing. Like there's like in a majority of Champions League sides, you're gonna see 33-year-olds, you're gonna see 34-year-olds, you're gonna see experienced players. Sergio Ramos, I'm not saying Matic is on that level, but I think Matic can do a job for us, in these midweek games. You can throw him in against a West Brom because I still think his quality level is higher than McTominay's and higher than Fred's. I just think his overall quality as a player is, the way he thinks, sees the game, the way his weight of pass, all these things are still there. He just can't be, he just doesn't have the energy to be doing it. Like I would say, like I guess week in and week out, but I still think he should be playing more than he is right now. 100%. I think he should be playing more than he is right now. Yash Bushan says, would love to see Donny setting the Europa League on fire. My guy Yash, drop a question for us. Anything Manchester United related. Make sure to drop a question for us in the comments. I think I've seen some more questions. How many likes are we on, people? People, let me know real quick. Skeptic Ill says we wish for younger Mata, and Donnie is very similar and younger. Interesting. I think Donnie and Mata are a bit different. I think Donnie wants to make runs into the box.
Mata wants to play those passes.
Exactly. Let's see.
I'll just say, I think with Donny van der Beek, I think when we got Bruno Fernandes, we didn't expect him to turn out so good. I think we were expecting the same from Donny as well, and I think that's probably our expectations are even.
That's a great point.
More pressure on Donny, I think.
That's a great point. I think that because Bruno came in and just set the world alight, everyone's almost thinking like, why isn't Donny doing that same thing? And I think you need to be like, I always use the example of Fabinho at Liverpool. You know, we don't want to talk about them too much on this channel, but when he first got into that side, it took him a long time. Like it took him a while to get bedded into that side. And I remember Liverpool fans asking questions like, "What's going on?" And Klopp's like, "Relax. He just came from France. Like let him get up to speed in training." Let him get up to speed with the quality of this league, and now we see what he's doing for that club. And I think Donnie's going to be very similar. There was a question on the previous Q&A show. Somebody asked, "Do we think that we'll see Donny van de Beek playing more now that Paul Pogba is injured?" I said no. Stu, what do you? I don't think it's going to change that much.
No, what I was going to say is, and pick up on the Matic point really, because and you're right about Matic. Matic is a very, I don't want to use the phrase simple player, but he is. He'll get it and he'll give it. And there are occasions, when we've been playing Matic and we've never needed a holding player because they're not, the opposition aren't coming out against us. They're not going through the middle. So sometimes you don't need a holding player, and you've got to be able to identify that as a coach, and you've got to be able to identify that on the pitch. But when you've got someone like Matic, he will complement Donny van der Beek a lot better because he'll win the ball and he'll drop it 2 or 3 yards. He'll either go to Donny, he'll go to Pogba, or he'll give it to Bruno, or he'll give it to whoever. So Matic, from that point of view, is ideal. Somebody said, I think I saw in the comments that they thought Donny and Matic were quite similar players. Maybe when Matic was 26. Or a little bit younger, 23, 24. Donny's age, he's obviously got a bit more zip about his play. Matic, Donny's probably a stronger player than we all realise. He's a tall player. I think he's is he 6 foot, 6'2", something like that.
He's tall.
Yeah.
Yep.
And he, once he gets a run of games under his belt, I just think you'll see his quality. Shine through, and his usefulness to the team shine through. And I think with Pogba's injury right now, which is bad news for us anyway, he's got an opportunity. And I felt when he came on against Albion for his cameo of 15 minutes, something along those lines, he added an extra dimension that we were desperately needed. So I'll be interested to see what he does Thursday. So I just wanted to bring that point in.
No, fascinating point. We've had a full Q&A, or not a few. We've had a full preview show discussing really, really important topics in the fan base. Guys, let me know how many likes we're on. Before we get to the Q&A in about a minute and a half here, I'm going to go really quickly around the horn for the guys. I'm going to ask about the score. Ask about the score for the Real Sociedad game. Be as honest as you possibly can be. What do you think? I'm going to stick with Stu here. Stu, really quickly, what is your score prediction and first goal scorer?
We're going to concede. I think it's going to be 2-1, and I think it's. I'm struggling with that one because I'd like to say Cavani, but if Greenwood starts, I think I'll give it to Greenwood. I'm going to go with Greenwood.
Fair enough. Love that. Gary, what say you?
It's going to be a very close 1-0 for us. 1-0 win.
Okay. First goal scorer.
Cavani.
Fair enough. I like it. Hama, what are you feeling? You're on mute.
Yeah, my bad. I think it's still going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with Stu because I do think we might concede. So I'm going to go the 2-1, and I'm going to go Cavani first scorer.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Good chance.
I'm going to go for. I'm going to agree with Gary. I'm going to go for a 1-0. I think we'll be able to eke out a clean sheet if Eric Bailly plays because it'll give a new energy. I think it'll be a different energy with him in that back line if he plays, of course. I reserve the right to change that when lineups come out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-0, and I'm going to say the goal scorer is going to be Bruno Fernandes. I think he's going to get us out of jail again. I really do. It's usually how it works. But again, great preview show. Now, here is the fun part of the show. This is where it gets really interesting. I'm already seeing some great questions, some great questions in the comments so far. We definitely have 5 questions, so we're gonna breeze through this, and I cannot wait. I'm going to pose Joe's question to Stu and Gary. What a question! What an amazing question. It says, Stu and Gary, this is for you two mainly, Shearer or Gaza, amazing players. We missed out on them both when it looked done. Who would you have liked to see more as an MUFC player? Who would have had the bigger impact? I'm going to start with Gary on this one. What a question. What an amazing question.
It's a credit to Joe, and this is a brilliant question. I saw that on the comments, and I've been thinking about it ever since. I was going to say Shearer, but I think under Ferguson, I think Gascoigne would have been absolutely world-class for United, and I think he wouldn't have gone off the rails like he did at the other clubs. Ferguson had this knack of keeping players under tow, keeping tabs on them, looking after them. Look at Giggs. Look how he turned out. It's for me, Gascoigne just would have been incredible at United. Absolutely incredible. He would have had his own statue, I think, if I'm honest.
Wow. Stu, what say you?
Yeah, I'm with Gary. As much as I would have loved Shearer, Gaza would have been on a different planet. And Gary's point's absolutely bang on because in no way would he have gone off the rails if he'd come to Old Trafford. No chance. Fergie had spies everywhere. I mean, Lee Sharp was one hell of a talent, but he got himself mixed up with girls and all that kind of stuff. So Fergie shipped him out. It probably, I'd go so far as to say, I really do agree with Gary. I'd go so far as to say as that you wouldn't see Paul Gascoigne today how he is if he'd been a Manchester United player.
Wow. That's a strong one. That's a really strong one. I mean, I'm a little too young to have seen Paul Gascoigne.
Credit to Joe. Great question.
Yeah, well done, Joe.
That's a great question. But obviously, I'm a soccer nut, so I've watched as many highlights as I can of Shearer, as many highlights as I can of Gaza. I've seen a couple, not live games, but I've seen a bunch of replays on Alan Shearer. What a player! So this is I love that question. It's a really, really good one. And I think Gaza. I'm shocked that both of you said Gaza. I thought one person would have said Shearer, especially at the time where, Shearer was supposed to come into the club. It would have been a.
I just think Sir Alex Ferguson had man management skills to look after to nurture players. Stu will agree with me on this one. He was just fantastic. He just had the knack of looking after players and bringing them through. Prime example was Ryan Giggs. We said about Lee. I mean, obviously Lee Sharp was a lost cause, really. I mean, there was Sir Alex went around the house and Giggs was hiding in the wardrobe with Scalzi and all that. It was hilarious. But managers don't do that anymore. They let players get on. They've got too much free time. They've got social media. They've got Twitter. They've got all sorts of things. Instagram.
Yeah.
They leave them to it these days. But back in the day with Sir Alex, it was totally different. And he would keep Gaza in check 100%.
Wow.
Oh, Gaza never would have got away with a quarter of the stuff he did. And the interesting thing about Sir Alex is that back in Giggs' early days, he's having terrible issues with his hamstrings, wasn't he, Gary? Terrible issues with. And Fergie realised it was a car he was driving.
Yeah.
So he made him sell his car.
He was a director of football, player recruitment, manager, and coach in one, wasn't he? You just don't get like anymore.
Yeah, there's only one Sir Alex Ferguson. Only one Sir Alex Ferguson. But we got to move on to the Let's move on to the next question. Should Diallo get his chance in the Europa League? And this is a really good question from Fred Woodward. Everyone, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to retweet this right now on Twitter. Going All for United, retweet this really quickly. This is a great portion of the show. We want to get to 25 likes. Should Diallo get his chance in the Europa League? I'm going to start with this question. I'm going to say no. I'm honestly I'm not one of these people who just think that young players should just jump into the side because we signed them and want to help them grow. This is what I think people fail to realize about young players and how Sir Alex, use them. he was playing them because they were good enough to win leagues. He wasn't just playing them because they were young and, Paul Scholes was good enough to play in a team that could win a league. Ryan Giggs was good enough to play in a team that could win a league. David Beckham, so on and so forth. Cristiano, Wayne, he wasn't just playing them because they were young and he wanted to nurture them. He was playing them because they were damn good players who can help the side. And I don't know if we should if Ollie's confident that Diallo can help us win the Europa League, then, maybe I might be a bit harsh on that. But if he's still learning and growing, it's not the time to be learning and growing. We'll do that in training and get you up to speed. But we're not going to just throw you into a side because you're young, you're expensive, and, we think you deserve to play. Ham, I'm going to go to you. Do you agree with me?
Well, I was actually also going to be like, what exactly do you mean by get his chance, right? Do you mean like get a start and get a full chance to play? Or do you mean like we got a game in control and he was on the bench, so you bring him on to get a little debut and get some playing time and things like that? That's two different things. But no, actually, I do kind of agree with what you said. If he is being looked at as he has something in him that's good enough, then maybe. But if it's just because you want to get the young guy some playing time, then no, I don't think it's just to throw him in just to get some playing time. Like we said at the start of it, it's a trophy. There needs to be a trophy this season. So,
100%. Real quick, Stu, what do you say about that?
I'm going to go with a consensus here. Look, I think he's a fabulous talent, but he's a talent. If I was playing right back and he was coming at me, I'd just pick him up. I'd just pick him up and then I'd run him down the wing with the ball because he's just a bit too lightweight at the minute. I take Hammer's points. If we're 6-0 up and he's in the squad, you drop him on. I take that. It's a great point. But do you start him? Do you bring him on at a crucial point of the game? No, not yet. What I would do with Diallo, sorry, and I'll wrap up now, but what I would do with Diallo, a little bit later on the season, I'd bring him on at Old Trafford. We're going to have no fans there, just taste the Old Trafford experience with 10 minutes to go against a team, that will win. That's what I would do with him. But right now, unfortunately, no.
Okay. Gary, do you agree with the consensus?
Yeah, spot on. Ollie won't risk a young player like that in the team. And if he did do it and we lost, he'd get criticised. So I think it's too soon for the lad to be playing tomorrow, Thursday. Far too soon. Fair
enough. Another very interesting. If I missed your question, let me know. I might have missed the question, but I saw another good one from Joe. Everyone, drop some questions right now. Drop questions right now. We have a long way. We have about 13, 14 minutes. We're going to stay here. We're going to answer all these questions as much as possible, and we're going to have a great end to the show. If we're at 20, are we at 25 likes? Everyone, let me know if we're at 25 likes. And if so, we will. I'll ask that question at the end of the show. We're at what?
21.
We're at 21. So 4 more likes, people. 4 more likes. Everyone hit that like button right now, and we will get there. This is another great question. Do you think it was a mistake to let Johnny Evans go, especially at the price he went for? I will start 1,000%. 1,000% it was a mistake. I know people. He's a very I don't want to say polarizing because he's a center back at the end of the day, but I think if you just look at what he's accomplished since he's left us, obviously he did a little bit of moving around. He found a home at Leicester now. What he's doing at Leicester, I just don't see much of a difference between him and Harry Maguire. I don't. I really, really don't. We spent 80 million pounds on one. Another we sold for how much was it? It was pennies. Was it 20 million or less? So yes, to answer your question, Joe, I think Johnny Evans is a really, really good center back. I think he is he was highly underrated during his time at Manchester United. Man, honestly, I wish he was here right now. Palma, what would you say about that?
Well, the only question I would have would be, would he, if he had stayed the entire time, would he be doing what he's doing now at United?
Great point.
Like, so that's the only thing, right? And I think it was probably, maybe if you want to say price, maybe if we should have got a little more, sure, but no, I don't know if it was a big mistake. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Gary, what do you think?
I'm just trying to remember who sold him. What manager sold him? Was it Van Gaal? Was it Mourinho?
I think it was Van Gaal.
Right. Yeah. So Van Gaal let Keane go as well to Everton or Burnley, wasn't it? is it Keane, the defender? I think it's done really well for him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Another one. You know, it's yeah, he did go for very little money, to be honest. He has done well at Leicester, and there was talk about United coming back in for him, which I think is ridiculous. I don't think that will happen. But yeah, I do think he went too soon.
Yeah. Stu, do you agree with that?
I do. The thing about it is when you sell a player is you've got absolutely no idea how it's going to turn out. Either way, he could go and have a blinder, which he is with Leicester at the minute, or he could just pan into insignificance and just disappear off the face of the earth. It's one of those that you've got to make a decision based on current form at that particular time. United tend to hold on to players a bit past the sell-by date. So, but I think at the time, Evans, it was probably right for him to go at the time, but hindsight tells you something different, doesn't it? So it's a difficult one.
It is a tricky one, and I think I'm being maybe reactionary because of the level he's at now. I mean, he was never at that level at United. I mean, he's a top Premier League center back right now.
And the thing is, Temi, the pressure on any player who turns out for Manchester United week in, week out is a cut above what it is at Leicester City. That's no disrespect to Leicester City.
Course. Yeah.
But that's how it is. But your point's well made, because right now in current form is probably one of the top 6 centre halves in the Premier League. So I can see where you would
I take your point too, because it's like, this is the most recent one. It's Jesse, I mean, he's playing well. He's playing well. I watched that West Ham game. I had my eye on it while I was working from home today, and he was the best player on the pitch. I mean, easily. And I think the idea of having less pressure on you. He's driving with the ball now. He's more confident, and there's just that the pressure of saying I need to win a title isn't there anymore. So he can just play more freely.
Just real quick on Jesse. I mean, I think with him, it's just I think he, even though as much as he loves United, I think he needed a fresh start. Too much 100%. Shit going around with United, and he needed a fresh start.
100%. Funny question right here.
Sorry, Temi. I think he'll force a move in the summer.
Yeah, no, as he should. I don't even think it'll be forced. I think it'll just happen naturally. I genuinely believe that. I have a question for you. Pick your favorite out of your fellow hosts, Joe or Karthik. Both are watching right now. This is hilarious. So Joe's definitely the funnier one. That's for sure. That's for sure. Karthik is a very analytical. If you want to get a breakdown on how a coach thinks, you should listen to Karthik. And I'm gonna pick Joe, and here is why. I stand by the fact that Karthik jinxed us and got us out of the Champions League. I will stick by that because he went on every stream, on every Champions League preview, and said we're gonna win the Champions League, and we didn't get out of the group stages. Because of that, I am picking Joe. So Karthik, hopefully we're still friends after that. Hopefully we're friends after that. We're on 21 likes right now, guys. Let's get it up to 4 more likes. 4 more likes. How many questions do we? Oh, there was a question from Stuart I saw that I really liked. Where did it go? Yes, I like to bring nostalgic questions on the Q&A. Love it. Helps get to know you guys better. We appreciate that, Stuart. You always bring a great question. The last Q&A show, if you guys missed it, he asked me if who would I rather win? Who would I rather want to win in a World Cup game? The USA or Nigeria? What an amazing question. That was a great one. But I'm gonna start with Hama on this one. Who was your first favorite United player? This is gonna be a really, really good one.
So when I started, the way I looked back at things, so just researching United and everything like that. So I think I was a center back when I did play football. And I think it would have to be someone between Rio or Vidic, and it might lean toward Vidic because he was a fucking psychopath at times. And I like center back. I like center backs at that. Like when I played, I think this is a term that doesn't really get used anymore. So maybe Gary and Stu would like this, and some of the older people who are on here. I like to play when I play center back as an old school sweeper, and I feel like Vidic was he just wanted to clear the ball, fuck somebody up, slide tackle somebody, and made sure he didn't get in his box. And I love that shit.
Yeah. 100%. That's a good one. Stu, who was your first favorite United player?
Well, you see, that was a goalkeeper, which is unusual for me because I'm not a goalkeeper. I'm rubbish in nets. But it was Gary Bailey. Doc could appreciate this, being South African. But it was Gary Bailey. And the reason was I wrote to him, I think I was about 10, maybe, I can't remember. And he wrote me back also sent me a signed picture and an autograph. Wow. That was my first ever autograph of a Manchester United player, and it meant a lot. So yeah, it's Gary Bailey for me.
Wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. Gary, what say you after Gary Bailey was Stu?
Yes, I'm glad he didn't say who I wanted to say. For me, it's our Captain Marvel, Brian Robson. He's fantastic, great midfielder. He was the heartbeat of the team, that midfield, box to box. He was all over the place. Great leader, great captain. I'd always thought he'd make a great manager for the club one day, but we know that's not going to happen because he's obviously not very good at managing football teams. So,
wow, that's a good one right there. For me, it has to be Wayne Rooney. That sounds pretty recent. Obviously, I think our first Q&A show, I said. I think there was a question that was, what was the first game that made you a United fan? I said the Champions League final in 08. Obviously, I was watching soccer before then. I just didn't really have a team or anything like that. But Wayne Rooney, like watching him on television was almost like watching boxing, watching NASCAR, like watching all high intensity sports all in one. He was just such. People talk about Bruno's like energy, right? Wayne Rooney, when he was like in his peak, was absolutely. He was just different, and I think that because of the way his career kind of dipped earlier than we expected, people kind of forget how good he was, how amazing of a player. I'm talking about finishing, energy, work rate, desire, everything. He had literally everything. Obviously, I love Cristiano Ronaldo. I would say he's my favorite United player. Where I'm talking about the first person that caught my eye, it has to be Wayne Rooney. Like, he was different, great. Big shout out to Paul Scholes, though. Love Paul Scholes to death. I mean, still to me, he is the best midfielder that's ever walked Earth. No one can tell me otherwise. I mean, no one can tell me otherwise. People might say I'm crazy about that, but
well, no, you're right.
He was just different.
As I said, me and Stu are a little bit older on here, so we're going to go a bit nostalgic and go with the older players, aren't we, Stu?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that was our era, though, wasn't it? That's when we were wearing our strips as kids and playing out in the street and whatever. Yeah. Those were our players.
Yeah.
But you couldn't disagree with Wazza because he came to us at 17, 18. I can't remember what. And he was a man. He was built as a man back then.
Yeah.
And he just had this instant impact, but he come into a team of leaders, and Diallo, we're talking about a similar age. He hasn't got a team of leaders, unfortunately. Right. It was only Bruno and Cavani. Rooney came into a dressing room that if you screwed up, oh Jesus Christ,
Roy Keane was playing at the time. It's the same thing with the class of '92. Like, I think people underestimate how important leadership is. And leadership and magic and title winning experience. Beckham, the class of '92, they had Pallister, Bruce, Keane, just the list goes on and on and on of just.
And they were replaced. They were replaced.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how
leader for leader.
I mean, who is Mason Greenwood looking at right now? Honestly, I mean, yes, he has Cavani now. We had Cavani, but that was for a year. Who is? I mean, Harry. I'm not even going to go there. I don't want to get in trouble with Ben. I'm not even going to go there. But I just to my point. I don't think we have enough leaders on the side right now. I think it's a huge issue. I think we need more 30-somethings in our team. I don't think we need more 20-something, 22-year-olds on our side. I don't. I think we need some 30-year-old experienced guys who won big trophies all across Europe and can look at our young players and say, you're not good enough. You can't play like that. There's no accountability. Anyway, I'm talking way too much. Let me say Let me see. That was a great question, Stuart. Always comes with a great question every single week, or every single show. I mean, it's just constant. I love that. Let me see if I missed any questions. Let me see if I missed any questions. I know I did. I definitely did. Let's see, guys.
I just want to say that's the thing, man. Like,
the
way I would think about it, nobody in this team puts their foot up someone's ass when they have a bad game.
Right.
You're absolutely right. So, do you know something? When Rude was with the squad, Ronaldo was a young and up and coming pup, so to speak, and he absolutely ripped Ronaldo a new one because he wouldn't pass him the ball. That was in training. Was in training. Let alone when he's on the pitch. Peter Schmeichel, probably the greatest goalkeeper, and we've had some great goalkeepers, by the way. Probably the greatest goalkeeper the club's ever seen. Jesus, Steve Bruce and Pallister, they used to come away with eardrums burst.
He terrorised his own defence, didn't he? He would shout at them, wouldn't he? He would absolutely scare the living daylights out of them. And De Gea doesn't do that. De Gea doesn't do that.
No,
he doesn't do that. Temi, question: is Maguire good enough to be a center back in a title-winning team? This is a great question, and I'm gonna answer this question, and I'm gonna say yes. And stick with me, everyone. Stick with me. My big qualm with Maguire is he shouldn't be the best center back on a title-winning side. That is where if this is the way he's wording the question, is he's saying, is he good enough to be a center back in a title-winning team? Not is he the best center back in a title-winning team? If let's remember when we first signed Maguire, our competition was who? It was Man City, right? Man City wanted Maguire. Pep Guardiola wanted Harry Maguire, but he just didn't want to pay £80 million for him, and I respect that. But what he wanted to do was pair Maguire with Laporte, right? So you have Harry Maguire, who's a bit stronger than Laporte. He's going to win more balls in the air than Laporte, and can still play with his feet, right? He has good feet for a center back. But that being said, I just don't think he can be the best. Do I think he can be a number two? If we put a Sergio Ramos next to him, someone who's experienced, who can actually command our back line, because we don't have a goalkeeper who's doing it. We don't have anyone across that back four who's doing it. I think he can be a center back on the title-winning side. It's just unfortunate that he's always going to get criticized, for being an £80 million center back, and now I think every Manchester United fan is saying we need another center back. So that's kind of a trick for me.
I think him being made captain was too soon. That's more pressure on him to produce the goods, and I think that was the big mistake. Him coming to United and within 3-4 months being made captain. Yeah, the next one in line would have been De Gea, but I never agree with goalkeepers being captains. From my opinion, it should be a defender or midfielder. The other one should be Fernandes, but again, it's too soon. But he's been in the club a year now, and he's shown glimpses of being showing leadership skills. So,
I think I completely agree with that. And this is, again, I'm saying this for my lovely guy. This is not a criticize Maguire time. This is just evaluating and looking. I agree. I think making someone who came from Leicester City, has never won any major trophies, and making him the captain of Manchester United, it's going to be a lot for anybody. I mean, anybody. Roy Keane didn't come from Nottingham Forest, and they didn't just give him the captaincy. You know what I'm saying? No. It doesn't work that way. I think what we should have done, have Mata, Matic, De Gea, one of those three, carry the load for a little bit, and then Ali gets some time to kind of look at the side and say, okay, this guy's a leader, this guy's a leader, this guy's a leader, and then when those guys eventually get phased out, that's when he appoints his captain going forward for the next 5 to 10 years. But no, I completely agree with that. Stu, what do you think about that?
Well, I just wanted to add, really, if you look at our centre-back pairings throughout the years, we've had two types of centre-backs, and I thought Hammer eloquently put it. Vidic is an absolute, he was a sledgehammer, and Ferdinand was a Rolls Royce. And we've always had that. Bruce and Pallister were the same. Bruce was just, get in there, get stuck in. Pallister would move the ball out. Bruce couldn't run with it, couldn't do anything with it, just clear it. And Pallister would move it out. So we've always had, I know you get people are going to have a pop at me. Smalling and Jones, polar opposites. Jones is just whatever, and Smalling could play. So you've got to have that. And Lindelof and Maguire are very similar.
Yeah.
In terms of players. And that's the problem. But one thing I would say is a centre-back or any player requires 10 other players around him to be in a Champions League or a championship winning side. You can't just look at one particular area and say you're good enough to be in a title winning side. You could be relatively average if you've got a lot of players that'll pull together as a collective and drag you forward. So I would say that.
This is another good point right here, or question I should say. Temi, Gary, does it matter that he's captain? I'd argue that it's not as important in football, and a non-captain leader can have the same, if not more, influence. I disagree. I vehemently disagree, and let me tell you why. If you look at all title-winning sides, right, a majority of title-winning sides, even if there's usually a title-winning side has more than one leader on the pitch. Let's just say that to start with. But secondly, that captain is crucial. Van Dijk, Company. I can go, for the I'm talking about recently right now. Van Dijk, Company, Azpilicueta when Chelsea won that title. For us, Keane. I mean, I think it's more critical than people understand. I know that it's not the sexy thing, but you need a guy in there. Like again, this is no criticism of Harry Maguire. His post-match reaction to West Brom, right, when he got on that stage and he talked after that match, I was disappointed. It was more excuse making, and it wasn't enough accountability. Even if you do believe that in your head that we were hard done by, the ref made some bad calls, we played the better football. You just lost to West Brom. The only thing you should be saying in my mind is we weren't good enough. We just lost to that. I think Roy Keane would have handled that differently, if that makes sense. So it's just, I think it's the little things that are really important. Gary, what do you think about that?
Well, every time we've won the league, we've had leaders. We've had Robson. We've had Bruce. They're leaders.
Yeah.
They represent the club and they're an influence in the dressing room. Keane especially. So I don't really agree with what you said. You need to have leaders in the team.
Yeah.
And a proper captain to take us all the way. And
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Not a question, just stating facts. This show has been class. Great job, guys. Hey, we appreciate you, Joe. We're rounding up here soon. There's a couple questions I saw, or let's just get in the comments. Real made mistakes. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, once you've done the comments, I just want to jump in on that because I have a differing view. I really do, because I've played the game a long time, average standard, but and I take the pitch, and I am the world's worst winner, and I'm the world's worst loser, because I will criticize anything within a game at any one point, and that's including myself. If someone hasn't done a critical image. But I was playing with a group of players that were doing the same. We were all doing the same. We were terrible winners and terrible losers. We were a nightmare to be around, an absolute nightmare, because we're picking holes in it. If we won a game 3-0, why didn't we win it 6-0? You should have stuck that one in the back post, and stuff of that nice. So the team must have a focal point, whoever that focal point is. But a good captain is get in the dressing room and talk about where you've gone wrong. And I've always played in teams where we've had 8, 9, 10 of us that do that. And that's why I slightly see it differently. But I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with you guys, because you're absolutely right. I just see it. Yeah. That's how I see it, really, because I'd be on somebody's ass if they'd made a mistake. I promise you now.
Yeah, I don't get the Maguire shouldn't be captain argument. I'm certain that Bruno has more influence than he does. He's just missing the armband. Fair point, maybe, but I think it's a mentality thing. I really do believe it's a mentality thing.
I just want to say real quick,
it was more of a captain than Maurice. They didn't win a damn thing. They didn't win anything. So that's. I just want to say
off of Stu's. And I mean, all you guys as well. I do think it does matter, and I think with Stu's, the difference is, and I think we can all see it with this team is, right. You just said you had 8, 9 guys who had the same mentality. The majority of our team doesn't have that mentality. So I think in this case, we need Bruno, for example, somebody who the team's going to look at and want to run through a wall for, to be wearing the armband.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
And
And Fred, you're right, 100% right. Henderson was captain for Liverpool. My mistake on that, but he's still a leader. Just a fact, definitely a leader.
I think Van Dijk's better than Maguire. We all know that. So
yeah. So let's see. We're coming to go on time. We've had a long show, but so much good information here. Appreciate. This is a good question. Appreciate that you're on a Bayern high, mate. Have you seen their squad compared to ours yet? I mean, we are nowhere near that level. I think we're good
at replacing.
Yeah, they're not only good at replacing, they're good at doing shrewd business. I think that Champions League side last year that won didn't cost more than £100 million. I mean that squad they put out in the final, that starting 11 did not. I don't even think it cost £80 million. And I might be wrong about that, but I genuinely don't think it cost £80 million. That's how efficient they are with the business that they do. Unbelievable. But anyway, guys, we're coming up on the end of the show. We're at 24 likes. Because I love you guys so much, I'm gonna just ask the question. And we're gonna go from there. Make sure to hit that like button. I want to make sure we're at 25 likes, over 200 views. We want to get to 200 views on this as well. So make sure to retweet this as much as possible and let people know about it. My question is, what was the score of our last game versus Sevilla? Very heartbreaking. What was the score of that very tragic Europa League match we were last in? Somebody drop that for me. What was the score of our? Or I should say, what's the score of our last Europa League knockout game? How about that? Versus Sevilla. Yes, we have it. We have one person. Where's my pen? All y'all need to do is 4 more people need to just respond to Stuart. Just type what Stuart typed in, and you will get a chance to win some great merchandise. I'm not seeing the energy in the comments. Fred Woodward 2-1. Fred, you're gonna have a great chance to win. So is Stuart, because you always answer these questions. Where's my pen? I got your names. I'm gonna take a picture. Everyone, only 2 people are gonna answer the question, or only 2 people gonna answer this question.
just
Really, 2 people, guys. Come
on.
Here we go. There we go. 4 now.
Oh, there we go. Yes. There we go. That's 4 right there. Eamon Dean. Yes, there we go. I'm about to say, like, I guess you guys don't want potentially free gear. I don't know what to say. I actually deleted it from my memory. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that to you, bro. I didn't mean to do that to you, but it's a tough game. That was a tough pill to swallow that day.
That's great.
No one else wants to answer the question. I'm gonna. If I take this picture, that is the last thing I'm saying. I'm taking the picture in 3, 2, 1. Okay, picture taken, and that is the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching, Gary, Stu, Hama. What an amazing show! Thank you guys for being troopers and staying so long as always. We appreciate it so much, especially for you guys who are on at 10 p.m. GMT time. You know, it's only 6 o'clock around the way here, so
yeah,
you know,
some dinner.
I'm gonna get some dinner. I'm gonna get some dinner in me. I'm hungry as hell. Again, appreciate you guys. Make sure to like this in the comments, guys. Fred says, thanks, chaps. We appreciate you. Everyone, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let your friends know about this Q&A show. It just keeps on getting better and better every single time. We appreciate y'all so much. I will see y'all very, very soon. Deuces.